Hi, I'm Jennifer Stevens with the Journal of Commerce, and today we're going to be speaking with Rolf Habben-Jansen, the CEO of Damco International. He's based out of Copenhagen and is currently responsible for all the global activities Damco handles throughout the world. Rolf, thank you for joining us today. Just wanted to ask you a few questions about your thoughts for what's ahead. First is, what is your assessment of the fall peak season?
I think the fall peak season so far has been a bit disappointing. I think a lot of people had hoped and expected a bit more volume. I personally think that we're still going to be in for a reasonably good October. If I look at the bookings and that I can see, after that we'll probably hit a little bit of a slow period in November, and then it's probably going to take up early December because Chinese New Year is a little early this year or next year.
And what are your projections for business for 2012?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think my crystal ball is probably as good as yours. I personally think that it's probably not going to be very bad, but it's also not going to be spectacularly good. So I think we're going to muddle on a little bit throughout 2012, to be honest.
It's fair. There's been a lot of discussion about capacity and potential idling of vessels. Do you expect to see ship capacity withdrawn, and then what impact do you think that would have on the market?
I think, yes, I think that some capacity is going to be withdrawn. I mean, if you compare with 2009, then a lot of the shipping lines still had the option to go to slow steaming and super slow steaming, which in a way absorbed some capacity too. I mean, that option is currently no longer there. So that means that in order to get a bit of a better balance between supply and demand, there's no other way than just taking out some ships. So I can see that happening probably after Chinese New Year.
Okay. And then last, there have been some forecasts that saying that some of the manufacturing in China might be moving over to North America. Do you see that as a possibility?
I mean, it depends a little bit how long you look. Yesterday in the panel there was quite a bit of discussion about that too, and I think there is going to happen some of that, but I don't think that it's fundamentally going to change the industry, because if you just look at the sheer volume of everything that's being manufactured in Asia and that goes to North America, I mean, even if the stuff that they would potentially source from Mexico or from Middle America would go up 10 or 20%, that really won't move the needle all that much. So, of course, it's something that can happen in 10 years or so, and then I think there's probably going to be some rebalancing, but I do not expect that to have a major impact over the next 2 or 3 years. Okay.
Last question is, have you heard anything at TPM Asia that surprised you, and if so, what's the most surprising thing you've heard?
I still think that what surprised me a little bit is probably usually about the things that are not being spoken about. There was some speak yesterday about driving out and taking out waste out of supply chains and focusing more on really reducing cost. I still thought that there was not enough focus on that throughout TPM, because there's a lot of untapped potential in this industry in terms of taking out waste, because it's still fairly inefficient in a way, and I still think we need to focus on that more, because that'll also help us to professionalize, and that will then help to take out some of the volatility as well, and it'll make shippers commit for somewhat longer periods as well.
Great. Thank you very much for speaking with us, Rolf.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure.